Year. Happy New Year. Um, Good morning, Earl McVenny. Good morning, guys tuning in on Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. I also hope everybody's well because I know Omicron has been crazy, including even some of us here experiencing it. Luckily I've sort of escaped it, but just stay well and stay healthy, guys. I hope you had a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year, one God. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. If you are in New York and Chicago, Texas, comment, say hi. If this is your first time tuning in, definitely comment so I can give you a shout out. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Um, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, let me introduce myself. My name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States with their immigration matters. Your location doesn't matter. You can call me 407-995-6567. You can also send a message on WhatsApp, 404 333-8751. And we'll be happy to, set you up for a consultation to speak with me. And also feel free to ask questions when I talk about my topic and what I'm talking about. So, let me first start by wishing you guys, I think I did this on Monday already, but, wishing everybody a blessed 2022. You guys, everybody that's tuned in today, you are going to have unmerited favor this 2022. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard the blessings that you will receive this year. It will be a healthy and well year for all of us by the grace of God. Okay. Um, okay, guys. So today I want to talk about green card holders who or immigrants who are married to green card holders. And whether or not they can qualify for VAWA. So, for those of you who know what VAWA is or who don't know what VAWA is, let me just explain that real quick. VAWA just stands for Violence Against Women's Act. It doesn't necessarily apply to only women. It's just the name of the act. Applies to women, men, children, parents of U.S. citizens as well. A lot of times when people call or ask, the person in question is a U.S. citizen that they're married to that's being abusive to them, and people typically want to know, do they qualify? If they're married to a green card holder. So I'm going to break it down to you why, you have to ask that question and you have to know whether or not you meet the requirements. So first and foremost, if you are married to a green card holder in the United States, normally, and at the time your green card holder spouse wants to file for you, if you are not currently in status, you will not be able to adjust your status in the United States. What do I mean by that? It means that if you entered the country without inspection, meaning you either crossed the border, you skated on through, you came with a boat, you somehow didn't have any papers, or you entered and you never left. So normally when you enter you get a 6 month stamp. Some people get less, or you come in through ESTA and you're here, supposed to be here for 90 days and you never leave. You automatically fall into the category of being unauthorized to be in the United States. And when you're married to a green card holder, if you've overstayed your time or entered without inspection, generally you're not allowed to adjust your status. What happens is you have to submit an I-130. If your I-130 is approved, then you have to then go leave the country. I'm sorry, not leave the country. You didn't have to get a waiver for hardship. So your spouse has to show that they will have hardship if they don't allow you back in. If your waiver is approved, you still have to leave the country. And then when you leave the country, you do your interview there, and then you'll be able to come back. So that is the typical way that somebody who's married to a green card holder will get their green card, unless the green card holder converts to a U.S. citizen while they're going through this process, and then they will be able to do it. Now, This is very different for VAWA cases. So one of the good things about VAWA case, well, I should say a good thing that comes out of a bad situation is that if you're married to a green card holder and they're abusive to you, they're emotionally cruel, they're psychologically abusive, they're verbally abusive and aggressive to you, they're, sexually abusive, they abuse you intimately, they're, physically abusive or even financially abusive, you will qualify to adjust your status in the United States. So, instead of you to wait for, a hardship waiver, you will be exempt from that because you're already experiencing hardship by being in the abuse, right? So you will be able to adjust your status even if you've overstayed in the United States, even if you enter the country without inspection, even if you cross the border. And right now, you are able to do it concurrently. And when I say concurrently, what I mean is you're able to file for your VAWA application, your green card application, your work permit application, and your travel permit application at the same time. So, and what why that is interesting is because green card holders are not considered immediate relatives to their spouse. So normally, in order for you to know if you should petition or do an adjustment of status, you have to make sure that visas are available. Currently, visas are current for green card holders, for spouses of green card holders and children under 21 of green card holders. So because of that, that allows you to adjust your status. So if you're going to a lawyer and or let me not say lawyer because I don't like talking bad about any lawyers because, everybody does everything differently. But if you're being advised by somebody telling you that, your husband has an I-130, let's just apply for an adjustment of status or whatever it is, even though you've overstayed, even though you crossed the border, that is wrong. That's not accurate. Okay. You have to have something that qualifies you to adjust your status. And as an overstay married to a green card holder, you don't qualify for a marriage-based green card, but you could qualify for VAWA if you meet the income requirements. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I have some time this morning, so I'm happy to take your questions. And if you guys are just tuning in and you see me going up and down, it's because I have two screens up. So I'm using both just to see. Let me say hi to everybody. Lillian said, I called you last night. Thank you for calling. I hope you were able to speak with somebody or get an appointment. If not, you can definitely call us this morning or send us a DM with your number and then we'll call you, okay? Hi, T Miles. Good morning, Ashani. Good morning, One God. Happy New Year. One God is in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta in 2 weeks. Happy New Year, Obioma from Tampa. Hi, Onyx. That's my cousin. Hey. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Faisalat. Lily. Deke said he's ready to file his citizenship. Hit us up, 407-995-6567. We actually have a client doing naturalization ceremony today. It's always super exciting. Okay, let me see what else is going on here. Okay, so somebody here says, I booked an appointment with you. I want to file for VAWA. First question is infidelity from your spouse's side, a ground for VAWA, which leads to emotional distress and mental abuse. This is actually a good question. Obviously, whoever you are, when we get into the consultation, we can dig and delve deeper into your particular situation, but I'm going to talk about a general thing here. So when you're dealing with VAWA, the key thing you guys have to keep in mind is that there's a difference between your spouse being a jerk and an asshole, and your spouse being emotionally or extremely cruel to you. Okay. So just infidelity alone, like, oh, my spouse cheated on me, or I found another girl, or I found another guy, is not enough unless you're able to show a pattern of behavior from this person, a recalcitrant person, a person that's unremorseful and then continues to do it and does it, to your face. Like there are some spouses where they're like, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to bring my side chick into this house. I'm going to bring my side guy, into this house. And what are you going to do about it? Like, that's cruel. Or tells you, if you do something, I will call ICE, right? So it's not just one incident, it's a pattern of behavior. So if we're able to identify a pattern of behavior, or if you have a spouse that's like a serial cheater, having babies for different people, cheating or pretending, sometimes, even, because this is a free for all, men and women both do this. So, for those of you that sometimes want to come for us in the comments and say, well, what about men? What about women? If you follow my channel, you know that nobody's exempt from this. Like, everybody, there are women that sometimes are terrible in their marriages, and there are men that are sometimes terrible in their marriages. But, like, let me use an example, of infidelity that would be considered really extremely cruel. Like, if you're married to somebody, and you guys have a child together, and not only do you find out that your wife is having an affair, you find out that the child she had is not for you, and this entire time you've been raising this child, you've developed a bond with this child. Like that is psychological torture. That is psychological turmoil. So it's very specific to your situation. So the answer to your question is that it depends. I know most people hate hearing that from lawyers, but truly it depends, because we have to look at the facts as it stands and ask a few other questions to see. But a lot of times where there's infidelity, I always suspect that there's more going on, from an emotional abuse standpoint and a psychological abuse. And so that's why it's good to do, screening and just really learn a little bit about what's going on in your marriage. Shromaz on Instagram says, how long after filing VAWA concurrently do you get your EAD? So right now we're seeing a wait time of anywhere from 5 to 8 months for your initial work permit, if it's done properly and done with the right category. So 5 to 8 months. Most people get it around like 6 months, 6.5. But again, this is a range. Sometimes it could be in the 8-month range. Sometimes it could be in the 5-month range. It just really depends. I will tell you guys, though, that renewal work permits, though, are taking a super, super long time. I'm not really sure what's going on with that and why it's taking long. It's, frustrating for me. It's frustrating for my clients. It's frustrating for the other lawyers I know. But, USCIS hopefully will get it together soon and just start releasing these. If you if you're a healthcare worker and you're filing like for renewal, right now you can try and do an expedited request for a renewal. We still don't know necessarily what will happen, but you can try and call them and document, how you're an essential healthcare worker and see if that makes a difference in those renewals. But it's frustrating, but that's sort of what it is. Happy New Year, Deeks. Good morning, Boogie Bobby. From Wisconsin. Hi. Let's see what else I got here. So somebody says, applying for passport is it counting from the day you get married or after you get your 10-year green card? I don't understand your question. Are you asking about applying for U.S. citizenship? If you're asking when can you apply for U.S. citizenship, the answer is you count from the date you got your green card. So if you got your green card on January 1st, 2020, if you got it based on marriage and you and your spouse have been married 3 years and, a 3-year timeline has reached, then you can file for citizenship as long as you meet the other requirements. If it's not based on marriage, then you just have to wait 8 years. Sorry, not 8 years, 5 years. Okay, let me take some questions on Instagram. Ade Kunleo just says, Happy New Year, the law. How is my brother doing? Kunleo from New Jersey. He's good. Thank you for asking. He's asking about my husband. Good morning, Joy. Happy New Year. Alex says, I filed for EAD renewal since May 2021, but haven't received it. I'm sure you just heard what I said right now. There's just a delay with the renewals. There's not really much we can do. If you're a healthcare worker, you can definitely try for an expedite. Let's see. Nicolette says, good morning, Happy New Year, and a better 2022. Amen. Amen for everyone. Everyone, yes. Okay, Armando says, if I'm divorced and I have a case pending to remove conditions based on extreme cruelty, is it okay to get married to my girlfriend in Jamaica? Okay, so this is actually a very good question, and you guys should pay attention very clearly. So, when you have a conditional green card and you are filing to remove conditions on your green card based on extreme cruelty, right? So you're divorced, you're filing to remove conditions based on extreme cruelty. You can remarry. But if you are filing extreme cruelty as a VAWA applicant, people get this confused all the time. If you don't have a green card and you're filing like an I-360 VAWA case, in that case, you cannot NOT. You cannot remarry until they make a decision. If you remarry, then what ends up happening is that it would essentially be that you've abandoned your green card. So you want to make sure that you don't remarry if it's VAWA, but if you have a conditional green card and it's based on abuse, you can remarry. A lot of people confuse this, and they have conditional green card and they're like, I'm filing for VAWA. I'm like, no, you're technically not filing for VAWA. You're just filing for removal of conditions based on extreme cruelty. It's confusing, but it's different. Okay. So somebody here says, I have a 2-year conditional green card and it's expired. I would like to remove the conditions to an unconditional 10-year green card. I'm not with her anymore. Can I do it myself and get a 10-year green card? So Paul, I would definitely suggest giving me a call so that we can go over to see if you qualify for a waiver. When you say you're not with her, are you guys divorced or you're separated? So, obviously I don't want you to talk about your personal business here, but, call me and then we'll talk about it. My number is 407-995-6567, and it's also in my profile. Let's see what else. Hey, Brazen Lawyer. Tromaz, your question about how long does it take to get your work permit when you file concurrently through VAWA, I answered that. So I'm going to put this, save this video so you can go back and watch it and you see it, okay? Well, I think that's a lot of your questions today. Literally all the questions I'm getting today is how long does it take after filing VAWA before getting an EAD? Okay, so again, I just talked about that. It generally takes about 5 to 8 months if you are doing it concurrently and you selected the right category. But you can watch a more detailed explanation once you watch this live replay. And then the other person's question is a little different, where you ask, how long will it take to get the work permit after the biometrics? So the answer honestly depends. It's really hard to say. I usually just estimate myself just based on my own practice and what I generally see. And this is not for those with biometric bypass, because this doesn't apply. This is just a mental math that I've done by my own self. I find that between the time of biometrics for the I-765, most people would then get their work permits between 8 to 12 weeks from there. So generally, if they've not gotten it there, it's something that, you wanted to check. One, have you reached the processing time limit? Are you out of processing time? If you're out of processing time, at that point, what I mean when I say out of processing time is that, wow, you guys, my battery's about to die on my cell phone. So let me know if you guys can still see me on Instagram. But as I was saying, so if you're out of processing time, then you can do an inquiry just to see what's going on and why you haven't gotten it. And it's not everybody that can do a phone inquiry. Like, so if you're a VAWA applicant or you're an applicant based on, abuse, you can do a phone inquiry. Your attorney will have to assist you with doing an inquiry through the attorney hotline. So hope that answers. Okay, so Kelvia says, can you adjust status for a kid who has overstayed with a conditional green card? If you have a conditional green card, there's no such thing as an overstay. The person has a green card, so you can adjust your status. Adjusting your status means basically you're converting it to a green card. But if you have a conditional green card, what needs to happen is you need to file for removal of condition. Or is the question you're asking me if the child of a conditional green card holder can adjust their status? Is that the question you're asking me? If that is the question you're asking me, the same rules apply. The child cannot be out of status, if you're a conditional green card holder, for you to file for them, because they're not considered an immediate relative, even though they're an immediate relative for USCIS purposes, unless, that person's parent, either the parent in which, let's say not the parent that they have the conditional green card with, but let's say the other parent is abusive towards them, then they can file their own self petition and adjust that way. All right. Good morning, Emerson from YouTube. See It All says, what happens if VAWA is denied, if your VAWA is denied? So what happens is you have to then evaluate, why was your case denied? Based on the denial, is it something that you can appeal? If it's something you can appeal, I look at every case differently. Like when somebody comes to me and says, attorney, I filed this case, it was denied. Can you look at it? Can we see if we should appeal the case? A lot of times I will look at it and evaluate if it is better to appeal the case, or if it's better to file a new VAWA application, and do it from scratch and do it freshly. So there are pros and cons to both. So let me give you an example of when I would suggest an appeal. If, let's say, you filed your VAWA application, and during your VAWA application, you and your spouse got divorced, right? If it gets denied, I count when you got divorced to when we received this appeal letter. If this denial, if it's been more than 2 years, strategically, I would always recommend that you appeal, because you will no longer be eligible to file a fresh VAWA application. So do you understand the difference? So strategically, I would say, let's appeal. Let's put forth a better case. Let's put forth evidence that maybe you didn't put forth before. But there are also other times where, I might look at stuff and say, this was a terrible application that you filed. Of course you were denied. There's nothing here that really helps your case. And at that time, maybe you've not divorced, or maybe the divorce has not been 2 years. At that time, I might suggest submitting a brand new application. And because, submitting a brand new application also means that you're going to get your work permit, quicker as well. So yeah, that's what happens. Let's see. Good morning, Omar. So Shanique says, I have advanced parole, but didn't get a prima facie. Is it safe to travel home and back? Is it safe? So the prima facie determination letter, for those who don't know, is basically a document that you get when you submit a VAWA claim, if your case meets the minimum standards of approval. So look at it like a pre-approval. It's not a guarantee that your case will be approved, but it's just kind of like a pre-approval that allows you to sort of, basically they're saying like you've established prima facie evidence that you could qualify for VAWA, but we're now going to use a fine-tooth comb and look at it. So that has nothing to do with you traveling or not. What allows you to travel outside the country when you have a pending immigration case is your advanced parole, which can also be known as a travel permit or a travel authorization. If you have that, you certainly can travel outside of the country as long as you are not in removal proceedings. If you are in removal proceedings, I do not recommend it. It is just too risky. If you're not in removal proceedings, by all means, if you want to travel. Just when you do travel, I always say, don't travel for a long time, come back in if you come back tops 2 weeks. Don't be out there for like 30 days, 40 days, 60 days. With what has happened in the last 2 years and COVID happening, borders closing, travel is really just unpredictable. So you don't ever want to be stuck in another country and you're not a citizen of America and they're not giving you priority to come back into the country or come back, when they close borders and stuff like that. So just be very wise, and don't go on long trips. Okay. Emerson, what time is it? Okay, I still have some time. Once my battery dies, and I'm gonna have to log out. Emerson says on YouTube says, I have a marriage adjustment of status application pending, but before the interview we divorced and I applied for VAWA. Will I still get a social security number and work permit based on my previous marriage? Emerson, the answer is going to depend on strategically how you submitted your VAWA application. Did you request a continuance on your 485? Like when you request an abeyance and you ask them to transfer your 485 to your VAWA application. If you did that, you should still get your work permit and you should still get your social security number. If you didn't, did you submit a new one? So the answer will really depend on the pending 485. As long as the 485 is still pending, then you should still be able to get those things. Okay, let's see. Aziz says, I'm in removal proceeding and I later dismissed it. If I have advanced parole, can I travel outside? I would not recommend it without you without an attorney actually seeing what you have and what you believe was dismissed. So, I would not. Armando says, do I still need a consultation for you to file my citizenship, even though you're currently taking care of a case that's pending for me? Just call the office. You don't need a consult, but call the office and schedule a call with me. Let's talk about whether or not you qualify. Okay. I have a biometric bypass since October. How soon do you think I should expect my EAD? With the bypasses, I really still haven't been able to calculate, the method to the madness with that, because the bypasses come really early. So a bypass basically means that if you have filed something with immigration, maybe like in the last 2 years, because of COVID, what immigration does is that to just keep processing, they will bypass you attending the biometrics and reuse the old information. But even just keep in mind that even though they bypass that, sometimes if your case is still pending, a year later, depending on what it is, they could send you a new biometrics notice. So that happens. So don't be surprised if you get another one. But because that bypass comes really early, it's really hard to say when you'll get your work permit. So in that case, I always say use the timeline from 5 to 8 months to determine when you would get your work permit. Good night, Sandra. Sandra, are you sleeping? It is morning in America right now, in most of America. So wake up. Happy New Year, favorite Carrie. Okay, let's see. Yadi says, what's your advice on traveling to your home country with a combo card? I just answered that one, so I'm sure you heard me. Good morning, Dreams Up. Boogie Boy says, how do I book an appointment? Because I do have a problem. I got a notice of intent to deny. Ouch, that sucks. Those are the worst. Those are truly my least favorite things to do, especially if, the person didn't use a lawyer. Guys, I know you guys hear this all the time, and, you all think that I'm going to Google and I'm going to figure out the law and I'm going to do this stuff. But NOIDs, are really tough to overcome if you didn't have a lawyer with you and can strategically explain certain discrepancies. You didn't prep, you go in there and stuff like that. They're not impossible. We've certainly had successes with a lot of our clients doing it, but a notice of intent to deny usually means that there's a lot in your files or in your interview or in something that you did that makes you ineligible. And if it has a lot to do with testimony discrepancies and evidence discrepancies, those are really hard to overcome. They're not impossible, but I usually have to read them just to see and, really get you and your spouse's side of the story to understand why those things exist. And, if that's the case, we can help you. Yeah, Trauma says, can you travel outside the US with just your travel authorization under VAWA? Yeah, you can travel with your travel authorization. And one of the things I recommend, when you're traveling outside the country is make sure you take 2 of everything. Take your green paper, which is your travel permit. Take your actual travel authorization combo card. Some people might get theirs in a paper form. Make a photocopy of it. Take your passport, make a photocopy of each page of your passport, and do not keep them all in the same places. You want to have some stuff in another luggage or wherever else, and then another set with you, just so that, God forbid, you get robbed, something gets stolen, that you have another copy so that you can be able to take it to the embassy or the consulate or to the airport or the customs to show them that you were robbed. Here's a police report. Here's a copy of that, just so that you're not stuck outside of the United States. Okay. My friend's spouse filed for a divorce before her green card approval. Can she apply for VAWA because the relationship caused her emotional and mental distress? Yeah, T Miles, she can certainly call us so that we can see if she qualifies for VAWA. If she qualifies, she can definitely file. Send Bliss, you're welcome. NG Show says a friend of mine got married 8 months ago and her hubby filed for her, and now she's stateside with a temporary green card. Unfortunately, things went south and now he's filed for divorce. Can she lose her green card? Okay, so tell your friend to call me, because if she's here on a 2-year green card, she could technically be eligible for a waiver, either based on divorce or based on extreme cruelty, depending on if the divorce has been completed. So it's one of those things where we have to examine what happened. And if it rises to the level of extreme cruelty, she can certainly submit a removal of condition. And she actually doesn't have to wait until the expiration of her temporary green card. She can file it now. Same thing applies to divorces. If the divorce has happened, you don't have to wait till the expiration. She can file it now. The difference between the two is if she gets approved for removal of condition based on extreme cruelty, she'll be eligible for citizenship 3 years from the date that she got her temporary green card. So if she got her temporary green card, like, I don't know, like let's say she got it in like 2021 January, she'll be eligible in like 2022, 23, 24 to file for citizenship. But yeah, she might have an option of a waiver. So she can call me 407-995-6567. Mumu says, good morning. How long does it take to call for a VAWA interview? So the answer to this depends. Sometimes VAWA interviews are waived. So typically what happens is that when you submit a VAWA application with a concurrent green card application, because they're actually two different applications, a decision is made on the VAWA application without an interview. They're going to either approve you or deny you. Okay. Once they approve you of your VAWA interview, they're either going to schedule you for an interview. So I said, once they approve you for VAWA, you actually get what we call deferred action. Deferred action means that they're not going to deport you and you're allowed to stay here indefinitely and get a work permit. So you can continue to renew your work permit regardless of what is happening with the green card. And then after that, they schedule you for a green card interview, or they bypass the green card interview. With VAWA, with COVID, we're seeing a lot of bypasses where they will just ask us send a medical. And so that's what's happening. Hopefully they'll continue along that path. But if not, VAWA interviews for green cards based on VAWA are different from marriage-based green cards in that they're not really as adversarial or as, stressful, because they don't ask you anymore about your abuse in the VAWA cases because they've already approved you for VAWA. So that's how it works for that. Let's see. Lily the Great says, can a parent who's a green card holder file for an unmarried child who is over 21 years old and currently in the US as an F1 student? How long does it take for the green card to be available? So technically, yes, they can. However, that F1 student needs to stay a student until that visa is available so that they can be in an F1 status. So right now, as of January bulletin, we're looking at 5 to 6 years for visa availability when your parent is a green card holder and you're unmarried. So what that means is that so if they file now, it's going to take about 5 years for the approval and for a visa to be available for the actual green card. So what that means is that you need, in order for you to stay in the country and adjust your status, during that 5 years, you need to be in status. And strategically, if you're a student, I don't know what the person's major is, go get a STEM major, right? If you have a STEM major, science, technology, engineering, and math, it allows you to finish your 4-year program, your PhD, or whatever you're doing. But also you have the opportunity to do OPT, which is occupational training. So it allows you to do occupational training for 3 years, which also buys you time. So it buys you time so that while you're within status, and the visas become available, then you can adjust your status within the United States. If not, what you can do is, if you are if your stuff is over and you're not able to stay here and you have just a little time left for the approval, you can certainly go back to your home country and just finish it so that you're not barred from coming here because of an overstay. Sharik Hay says, how long does it take to get advanced parole through VAWA? Sharik Hay, it's the same as a work permit because they usually will give them as a combination card. So it's still the normal 5 to 8 months. This question cracks me up. Arhan says, can you get a marriage-based case approved without an interview? Hell no, you cannot. You cannot. It can't happen. You can get a conditional removal based on like a conditional removal of your green card without an interview, because they already have bona fides from when you attended the initial interview and whatever you submit. But for an initial marriage case, you must have an interview because that's where you have the highest rate of marriage sham. So they must do an interview. You can't escape that. Official Soul says, I've applied for my EAD renewal since May 2021 and I haven't received it. Honestly, you and everybody else, like, this is a big problem right now, getting renewal EADs. They're just delayed. Like, I've never seen anything like it this last year. These renewals it's like the minute they announced that, we're going to start giving to your work permits, that minute, all renewals, I don't know what happened. Like, it's taken a long time for everybody. Some people, if you're a healthcare worker and you're listed as one of the essential healthcare workers, you can try and ask for an expedited decision on your EAD. This is something kind of new, so I'm not really sure if it's working yet, but you can certainly try that if you're in the healthcare profession. Okay, guys, I'm getting thirsty, so I'm going to take 2 more questions and I got to go to work. Filing for VAWA, my work permit expires in 4 months. Can I apply for an extension while I wait for my prima facie? Yes, file right away, like today. File today. In fact, if your work permit is expiring within the next 6 months, file today because there is a delay. So don't wait until it's 1 month. And I'm speaking to those of you who are my clients as well. Do not call me 1 month before your work permit is expired. Oh, I told you my work permit is expired, because I have hundreds of clients. I cannot keep track of all your work permits. So make sure you're paying attention to your work permit. If your work permit is going to expire within the next 6 months, definitely let me know so that we can help you with the renewal, just because you're taking so long, so that way, there's really no gap in employment. My last question, let me look for something good. Okay, so this person says, how long, Big Daddy K 001. Okay. So how long does it take to be called for an interview for a permanent green card after the conditional green card has been filed? The answer is that it depends. Sometimes you might not be called for an interview. But if the question is how long does a conditional removal take to get so you can get your permanent green card, the answer is anywhere from 18 to 24 months minimum. When so right now, I'm sure if you filed a conditional green card, you notice that you're getting a 24-month extension in your green card. This is because of the backlog and the delay thanks to COVID. So because they're not making decisions that quickly, they're giving people this so that they can at least have their green card. So that's why I said 18 to 24 months. Now, having said that, as I always say, there's an exception to the rule. I have an interview on Monday, it's a Tuesday, with a conditional green card client who we filed like 6 months ago, but that's not the norm, but there's always an exception, like a random person that theirs would be like in 6 months or in 8 months. But if within 18 months you've not heard anything, I don't want you to panic, because that's normal. And just remember that even if you've not heard anything, you still have your green card, because that's what the extension is for. And if the extension expires, you can get an info pass and then get a green card stamped on your passport. So as long as you're still a green card holder, don't worry about it. Just, wait the time. Okay, let me see. Okay, this is the last question. Let me take YouTube since I've been neglecting YouTube. Shanique says, I filed for VAWA 9 months ago. How much longer do you think it will take to get a green card? VAWA cases take anywhere from 2 years to 2.5 years, so you have time. So just try and be patient. Hopefully you file for your work permit and your travel permit. At least if you file for those, at least you can work for the next 2 years and travel for the next 2 years while you're waiting on that. But VAWA cases take anywhere from 2 years to 2.5 years. Okay, guys, it was fun. I'll be back live tomorrow between 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's usually when I'm on. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, YouTube, hit the notification button so you know when I'm tuning in. And for those of you who asked for my number, it's 407-995-6567. You can also send me a WhatsApp message, 404-333-8751. All right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.